You're listening to Upon Further Review, presented by Coors Light on the official Raiders Podcast Network. Here's your host, Eddie Paskal.
Raider Nation, what is going on? Eddie Paskal and producer Trav in Henderson, Nevada, and beautiful San Jose, California, respectively. Although, teaser alert, I think producer Trav is going to bless us in the desert this weekend. I cannot confirm that. Trav, you are coming to town, aren't you?
Oh, I will be there.
Oh, I can't wait. Is your business your own, or is it something you're at liberty to discuss?
I will be there for the Raiderette auditions, the finals. So I know it's not open to the public, so you can't come see me. But yeah, I'll be there.
But your presence, we will feel your energy, your man's manness in the desert as you descend for the weekend. Well, shoot, man, I hope I get to see you from a respectable social distance, and good luck on your journey out here. But I should have been our first headline, but alas, it isn't. We soldier on, and I have to say, this is weird, man. This is the second week in a row. I think this might be the third out of 4 weeks, Trav, where we have no transactions. Nothing. No movement on the roster. No shaping and shifting and rocking and rolling or slicing and dicing, whatever combination of words you want to use. Double M and Grudog are laying low, laying in wait for, I don't know, laying in wait for something. But so no transactions this week. I'm uncomfortable. It weirds me out that we have nothing to do. Or not, shouldn't say we have nothing to do, but that there's nothing to report on that end of things. But soon, man, soon, they will be coming fast and furious, and it'll feel good to start the show off with them again. But speaking of the show, good show this week. Strong show this week. Perhaps the best hair we've had on the show this week. As in just a few minutes, we're going to welcome in one of our guys, one of our close personal friends. And I will say, maybe the only man in the facility, the only man in this organization who I think has better hair than I do, offensive coordinator for your Las Vegas Raiders, Greg Olson, a.k.a. Ole. And during our time with Ole, we hit a lot of things. We talk about what it's like to be in that new, beautiful building just 10 minutes away from where I currently live, the new additions to the offense. And yes, I don't know if it's going to make the final cut, but Ole and I did discuss our current hair regimens, our current hair statuses, and how we've been dealing with the lack of cuts, particularly Ole, during life in quarantine. But before we get into all that, and I kind of mentioned it a second ago, the coaches of the Silver and Black are back. Well, I shouldn't even say back. They're just initially in the new building down in Henderson. And man, for those of you who haven't had a chance to go either drive by it or check out kind of some of the cool behind the scenes stuff. And I know there hasn't admittedly been a ton as of yet. Everyone's trying to be careful and safe and all that jazz. But man, go to Raiders.com, check out all of our social channels for that, because that building looks pretty sweet. And I've actually driven by maybe like 2 or 3 times since I got here, just kind of running errands and taking a look at it. And man, it is unreal. It is night and day compared to what we had at 1220 Harbor Bay Parkway. No disrespect to that beautiful building, but man, this is just, it's different, man. It puts us in a different stratosphere. They're not even comparable, at least from the outside looking in, but shoot, I cannot wait to get in there. And as I mentioned, Ole and Gruden and the rest of the coaching staff is in there, or I should say they were in there. If memory serves and my looking at the schedule is correct, these guys are off now. They're on vacation until training camp starts. But man, it felt good to see Ole, to connect with Ole, and to see him sitting in his office, his new office, I should say, because man, it feels like so long. It's been so long since we talked football in any meaningful way. And there's obviously a lot of things going on right now in the world. And, you know, we're trying to be respectful of that and be mindful of that and do everything that we can to ensure that we are playing football in a couple months. But man, it was great to connect with Ole. So we will play that interview in just a second. But real quick, hashtag breaking news. About an hour ago, before we started recording our humble program, Ian Rappaport, a.k.a. Rap Sheet, a.k.a. the Rap Daddy, tweeted out that tentative plans, we're looking at training camp to begin for everyone across the league on July 28th. in just over a month. And this is a date that we've been kind of curious about just internally too, because, obviously with the current situation regarding the pandemic and all that jazz, we were kind of unsure what this was going to look like. And I think it's really important to put it out there that this is all incredibly subject to change. But as of now, sitting here on a Wednesday evening on, June 24th, sitting here right now, training camp set to begin July 28th. And man, like I said, I don't know exactly what camp is going to look like. I don't know how we are going to navigate this new adventure that we're all going on, but having a date, having a concrete quote unquote date for when we are set to go to work is incredibly exciting, man. And I know you guys are all chomping to get some actual legitimate football back in your system, and we are very much the same way. So before we welcome in Oli, I just got to say this. After Oli is done, after he departs, after his grace leaves us, we are going to welcome in, making his triumphant return for a second week in a row, the great Kyle Cannon Booby Cartwright Martin. And good times will abound. But before we get to all that, you know what time it is. I teased him at the top of the show. I teased him just a second ago. It is time to play our interview with, like I said, not only the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders, not only one of the best conversationalists in the organization, but also the man with some of the best hair in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, our pal, Greg Olson. And Oli, before we get into all the fun stuff and the building and all these new toys you have at your disposal, how are you doing? How have you and your family kind of been dealing with and handling this incredible situation that we're living in?
Well, we're obviously extremely blessed in that nobody in my immediate family or my wife's immediate family has contracted the virus or lost employment because of the virus. So we've been fortunate that way. It was difficult for the kids. I've got, as you know, 16-year-old twins that, had to miss out on their spring sports. And obviously, we don't know what's going to happen here in the fall. But my family's healthy. Gave me a lot of time to spend with my family that I normally would not have during the spring and during the OTAs in June. So we've got a chance to reconnect as a family, and it's brought us closer together. So all is good in the Olson household.
Very glad to hear. I mean, it's one of those things too, where we've talked so much just kind of internally about how this has affected everyone across the board, whether you're a football coach or a player, you do something like I do. Every person on this planet right now has had some sort of repercussion for the situation you're living in, but I'm glad that you're happy, you're healthy, and you and the family are hanging in there. But Oli, I got to ask you, you are our first guest coming live from our new beautiful facility in Henderson, Nevada. So just give me a tour with your words. What was it like coming in there the other day? What did you see, and what's the office setup like?
Yeah, obviously it's exciting. Anytime you're going to something new, it's I would compare it to what anybody that buys a new home and steps through that front door for the first time. So it's exciting. It's new. There's a lot of energy in the building right now. There's still a lot of construction going on, but it's a real positive vibe throughout the building. So real positive and really excited about kind of seeing the offices, the office setup, the weight room. Extremely impressive. All the facilities, really, the indoor practice facility, the fields outside. So just kind of, again, real positive vibe.
I imagine it had kind of like that first day of school type feel, right? Because you haven't seen the coaches in a while. You see Mayock, you see Coach Gruden, the rest of the assistants like that. I'm sure it was kind of just exciting to see your pals at work again.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. We hadn't seen each other for 3.5 months. So, that was neat too. We've been video conferencing, but we're still trying to adhere to health guidelines by wearing masks and social distancing. We stay in our offices. We don't get together very much face to face yet. But it is nice to see the other coaches and the administrators and the scouts and everybody that's been able to come back to the building. It's been good to have a little face to face conversation, but. Again, we're doing our best to adhere to all the health guidelines that are in there. But we're getting a layout of the building, or getting a feel for the layout of the building. Again, where the weight room is, the training room, meeting rooms, getting those set up. A lot of that's going on right now around the construction.
Yeah, and like you said, safety still and going forward is going to be the name of the game, and making sure that everyone's doing exactly what they have to do to make sure that we collectively stay safe, stay healthy, and are able to play football sooner than later. But Oli, I'm glad you brought up the virtual aspect of what the past couple of months have been like for you. And I can't imagine that 6 months ago, when you were, kind of preparing to head into 2020, that you had any idea that this was going to be your world. But were there any kind of unforeseen challenges of going completely virtual outside of the obvious ones that you don't really get to see guys face to face, really?
Obviously there's challenges when you're doing something for the first time. I think, we feel really as a staff that Joe Harrington, our video director, is the best in the business. And he really made it very seamless transition for us. Not a lot of hiccups, very few problems. And so we feel like we did as best as we could. Best or better than probably any other team in the league when it came to our video conferencing. So we had 100% attendance from our players. That was very encouraging. It forced you to find different ways to try to keep the players stimulated in these meetings. But I really feel like we got a lot of information covered for them, and we'll be able to hit the ground running when we do get it open back up.
Does the curriculum of the meetings change at all in a virtual aspect, or are you guys still going through the same things that you would have done if you were at 1220 doing it face to face?
Well, obviously, if they were in the building, we were practicing, we'd spend a lot of time correcting mistakes on a practice field, and that's what we're missing right now, is being able to find out. We feel like they've been real positive meetings, and they have been, but we still don't know if the players can go out and execute some of the information, some of the plays that we've given them. There's no way of knowing it. They answer believe me, we've tested them. We've tested them on written materials, different tests we put together, video tests that we've put together, and they've shown that they have absorbed the material that we've given them, but we still haven't had a chance to go out and again try to execute it on the field. And that's the only one thing that we're missing, but we've got a lot of information covered. Probably more than we have in any other off season. I think Coach Gruden would say, we covered a lot of information, and maybe that's a blessing that we had some time to really detail up what we're installing to the players, because we weren't in a time crunch to get out in the practice field. So I think we've done a lot of good things.
Coach, since the last time we saw you or we spoke to you, I mean, it feels like this team as a whole has changed, has undergone so many changes. There's so many new faces that are coming in 2020, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. There's a handful that fans of this team are very, very excited about. And when you talk about those guys, you got to start with Henry Ruggs. And I know that you haven't had a chance to see him, as you were saying, in person, but what have your impressions been of Henry? And when you look at his body of work, what excites you the most about what he can bring to this offense in 2020 and beyond?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is speed. There's nobody faster than Henry Ruggs that came out in the draft this past year. So, again, explosive player. Before it kind of got shut down, the NFL shut down the player-driven workouts. We were getting feedback from our veteran players that were involved in those workouts, and very positive concerning Henry Ruggs. Coach, he's not only fast. This guy runs great routes and has got great hands and strong hands, and is a strong physical player. So I think the players on the team are excited as well to welcome Henry Ruggs. He's one of the, when you look at us offensively, we got a number of returning players at almost every position. But we did, we have that wideout position that was open, and he's going to jump in and grab that spot. So really, you're not looking at a lot of new players for us on our side of the ball, but the addition of Henry Ruggs is certainly a huge addition.
Yeah, absolutely. And one that's very exciting is you brought up that speed, and that's one thing that you can't teach no matter how hard you try. You can't teach that 4.2, 4.3 type of speed.
Yeah.
And Oli, you look at last year, and there were so many things offensively that were good, obviously things that you guys would like to be better, but you look at your tight end group as a whole, and I don't know if there was a deeper, better tight end group in the entire NFL than the one that you guys had. And you guys said, all right, that was cool. Let's go add a future Hall of Famer to the mix too, with Jason Witten. When you've had a chance to interact with Jason, albeit in a virtual setting, what have your kind of takeaways been from him and what he's meant to that group as a whole?
You just think of a true professional. And again, you can't get a real feel on these Zoom meetings, but one thing I had mentioned to Coach Gruden, I said, Coach, you take a look at Jason Witten. We record all these meetings, and he is so into it. He's very serious. Again, that's what I mean by he's a pro. The guy's taking notes. It's very detailed. Player asks the right questions. You come back with Frank Smith and ask a lot of questions of Frank to make sure that he's got it detailed correctly. But, you're talking again, like Mike Mayock had mentioned, he's going to be on the Mount Rushmore of tight ends that played in the National Football League. And, 11 Pro Bowls. I mean, most of our players were, little kids when Jason Witten came into the league. And now to add him to that group of tight ends who we felt the same way as you mentioned, Eddie. We felt we did have one of the best group of tight ends in the league, and now we've added this guy, and it's just made us even better. And he'll make us better on the football field. He's going to make everybody better in the classroom, and that's what you're hoping to get when you sign a veteran player as a free agent. You want a guy that brings everything to the table, and he brings a lot. So real excited about him.
And not only that, with him and Coach Gruden now, I'm pretty sure that this is the first time in history that two Monday Night Football broadcasters have been under the same roof for one NFL team. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's no question. I hadn't thought of that, but there's no question.
So
Definitely
one guy,
first time in history.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a guy like Derek Carr now who's been with you guys for so long, I imagine that the benefit of him on the roster, him being the quarterback of this team, his value is it's almost indescribable considering the kind of weird circumstances that we're living in right now.
Yeah, I think that will be our advantage. Not only just Derek, and certainly Derek is the biggest piece of the puzzle, but to have a veteran quarterback when you've been quarantined and you've been unable to work out, I think is a huge advantage for any team that's returning the quarterback position. But we're also, like we talked about, Eddie, we think we're returning 9 or 10 starters on offense, so that should be an advantage for us offensively. The guys know one another. They know the calls. They know all the terminology that we put together as an offensive staff. There's a great familiarity with the coaching staff. Really, we haven't had any turnover in the coaching staff, so that's exciting as well, I think, for our players. So if there's an advantage there, it's that, Derek Carr, his grasp of the offense. He's going to be going into his third year in a system, which is the first time he's done that, including college. So I know he's extremely excited. He's also done a lot in terms of, again, before they shut these down, he did a lot in terms of gathering the guys together in Las Vegas, those players that were out here in Las Vegas, and getting some work done with those players. So, again, we're fortunate, very fortunate, especially on our side of the football, that we have so many players returning.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully those returning players result in a lot of touchdowns come game day. And hopefully, Coach, we see you sooner than later, and we're all under the same roof in a safe and, conducive environment to everyone. But it was so good to catch up with you. Stay safe, stay healthy. And like I said, hopefully we get to do this again soon, but in person.
Yeah, for sure, Eddie. And good to see you.
Good to see you, Coach.
Be healthy.
And a big shout out to our guy, Oli, man. Like I said, just a great guy to spend some time with, and it was good to see him in his new digs. If you haven't seen the video, go check out Raiders.com. You can get a better view of what he's working with, because obviously this is a podcast, so you can't see Oli's new office. So head on over to Raiders.com, like I said, and check that out. So it's time to end the show, and we end it as we typically do. It's victory formation. Eddie Paskal and producer Trav, joined once again by our trusty comrade, our third musketeer, our senior esports correspondent, our junior draft analyst, and our resident expert on all things Southern California, the great Kyle Cannon Booby Cartwright Martin. And KMM, brother, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited about the return of sports in mere weeks, brother.
Oh, we are every day. We just inch closer and closer and closer and closer. And we had kind of one of those, at least for us, kind of one of those, what's the word I'm looking for? Landmark's a little intense, but one of those moments that we had circled on the calendar, which is the coaches and Double M and those guys getting into the building. You heard from Oli just a second ago talking about what it is currently like, not living in the building, but being in the building and kind of going through work in the current coronavirus climate. But speaking of, dude, I know you saw it. We've all seen it. And I had to get your thoughts on this. The photo that we tweeted out Monday afternoon, I believe, of Double M masked up going into work. It gave me chills, brother. first off, Mayock looks incredible. That man has not missed one day in the gym over the past 3 months. But it had a very kind of like Batman vibe, didn't it?
I guess you could do that. I mean, that's a fair comparison to make. The man definitely looked like he was a crusader of some kind going to liberate the free agents on the NFL market.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he was. I tweeted it out, but I was like, it felt very much like out of like the ashes, the collective disaster that we're living in right now. Double M has risen. He's made us, think about the mistakes that we've made as a culture. But now he's back. He's going to put this roster together, and we're going to go to work.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anyone that I feel comfortable putting the fate of the franchise in their hands, it's Double M.
Also, kind of incredible that he kind of pulls the mask off. You know what I mean? Like, I'll admit that I don't really look super good in a mask. You know what I mean? Like, I try to spruce it up, but obviously it's there mostly for, well, exclusively for safety reasons. But Double M, it kind of like worked with his vibe.
If that's the aesthetic that you think he's going for, I guess I can't imagine he put a lot of thought into his styling of the mask. That doesn't seem like something he's overly concerned with. Double M just needs to get the job done, stay safe, and then allow himself to focus on the matter at hand. Like I can't imagine I can't imagine Double M needs a personalized, bedazzled kind of face covering,
Current Raider coach or player most likely to have a custom bedazzled face mask.
Bedazzled?
Yeah, a little flair, a little bling bling to it.
PJ Hall.
Oh, sure. I was gonna say D-Wash was gonna be my pick, but obviously D-Wash is no longer with us. I could see the greatest underdog having a little flash on his mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that. I could see him wearing like no, I don't want to put that out there. I was going to say I could see him wearing a leather mask, but that could be misinterpreted.
No. To clarify, Kyle, we're discussing strictly the safety mask. What that mask is used for during off hours is simply none of mine or your business.
Agreed.
Oh man. Real quick before we dive fully into the shenanigans of which we're halfway consumed by already, I had this thought. I was thinking about this the other day so the NFL and the NFLPA, has come out and kind of put the kibosh on these like player-led workouts because obviously you look around the country and coronavirus cases are spiking, and just in the interest of keeping everyone safe. And I know that a lot of these guys have really gone out of their way to be safe and the socially keep everything socially distanced or as much as possible. But the NFLPA said, guys, let's shut it down. And I think by and large that most people were respectful and kind of took that to heart. But there was one man, and I don't know if you saw this, Kyle, one man who did not really take that to heart. One touchdown Thomas Brady. And I was thinking, do you think anyone would say something to him? Like, do you think like the league or anyone like kind of tapped him on the shoulder and was like, hey bro, don't do that, man. You're making us look bad.
Tom Brady just does whatever he wants to do. That's the honest truth. The guy was practicing at parks in the middle of COVID as if it wasn't, his responsibility to not be near other people. I mean, granted, like now we've obviously put in place like 6 feet apart. You're fine. You can do whatever. But it was just very much so in the extreme phase of stay indoors, don't go anywhere. And Tom Brady's out just having trainers over at his house and going about his business as if nothing's changed.
And I don't want to make light of this either at all, K-Man, but Tom Brady's not a young man either. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, I'm aware. The man is 42, 43 years old. I don't know if he could be looking in the face of death like that and not take some precautions.
Now listen, brother, I look at death 2 to 3 times a week. I look at him dead in the eye, and it's not fun. I wouldn't recommend it.
All we can do is just hope for every last breath and do everything we can to keep going one more day.
That's true. But on the real though, like I saw that his IG post was essentially him like working out, doing whatever, and the caption was like no excuses. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, well, a global pandemic seems like a pretty good excuse, Tom. Like a global pandemic also combined with the fact that your players association that you are a member of has said, hey, dude, don't do this. Like those seem like two pretty solid excuses for not going and working out with your teammates.
I mean, I would agree with that, but like I said, man, Tom Brady, he marches to the beat of his own drum, which is fine. You know, he's proved that, but I agree with you. If there's ever an excuse to not do anything ever, it's that a pandemic is occurring. So maybe reconsider some life choices and think about those around you. But Tom Brady can pay for any kind of medical treatment that he needs. So say
I don't know about it. Well, I mean, sometimes, yeah. Oh, I don't want to put that. I'm gonna get out of this, Kyle. I don't feel comfortable with where I was going. But one thing that has happened in the world of not NFL that I'm sure is of particular interest to you is that baseball is officially back somehow, some way, after all the groaning and complaining and the two sides bickering with one another. We're going to get a 60-game season, brother. Are you going thumbs up or thumbs down on a 60-game abbreviated MLB campaign?
I hope 60 games stays forever because every game will mean something. I don't need to watch 162 MLB games. I mean, I don't even watch a quarter of them, but that just seems so over the top. And hopefully now we can just stick to 60 games and just, I don't know, restructure the start of the season and the end of the season. I mean, I don't know about you. I think it's great. Maybe 70 games, ideally, a little bit closer to the NBA season, but I don't know, man. I think it's for the best. The only thing that I wonder about, which is I think halted a lot of their negotiations up to this point, is just how their contracts come into play if they're playing less games. So that might be the biggest issue for the league to figure out. And Rob Manfred seems to be incapable of figuring anything out. So I don't know. We'll see if it works. I'm just happy that baseball is returning and I can get my fantasy baseball league back and going.
Rob Manfred, this is also your official invitation to come on the pod whenever you want. Come explain yourself. You have Trav, Kyle, and I's information. But I'm with you, man. I'm excited. Like I'm obviously I'm not the big baseball guy. That title belongs to Matt Walks. But I like baseball a lot. You know, I'm a big Giants fan. So I'm going into this year with just a real sense of sadness and despondence. But the one thing that I'm with you where I'm excited to see the 60 game season. I think I'm with you. I'd prefer maybe a little bit more, but hey, we'll take what we can get at this point. And the one thing that I do like is that baseball is finally deciding to be like, you know what? Let's try some stuff out. We haven't tried anything new in 150 years. If there's a time to try something new, let's try it. So we're going to get the runner that's going to start at second base during extra innings, which I think is a nice little fun wrinkle. And we're going to get, I believe the DH is going to be in both leagues. So they're updating, they're trying things out. But most of all, why all this makes me so happy is you see all these old baseball nerds just freaking out about, the sanctity of the game. Oh God, it's not even baseball. Grow up, man. Stop being a nerd.
I agree, dude. I mean, the runner on second and at the top of the 10th, who needs to watch 16 inning games? I don't.
Well, I think the whole issue is no one was watching 16 inning games, KMM.
Yeah, but there's a lot of changes that need to be made, and I think they're making the right and necessary changes. But people have vouched forever that the DH is ridiculous. I wish they would make both leagues pitchers have to hit rather than adding a DH to the NL. But hell yeah, dude. Baseball, if there's one sport that can't afford to miss a season, though, it's baseball. So them getting a deal done was mandatory.
And we've talked, you and I, off the air a little bit about kind of just baseball and coming back and everything. And I'm glad that they are. Obviously, like, I'm super fired up that we're going to get quote unquote spring training or spring training part 2, whatever it is, in less than a week. But dude, they missed a golden opportunity to get this done a couple weeks ago and start the season on 4th of July. Like they missed that one big time.
That would have been, from a marketing perspective, I don't know if you can ask for much more. Just to get baseball going on Independence Day, baseball's America's pastime. I mean, it might not be anymore, but I didn't even know that was a possibility. I wish they would have made that happen, though.
What is America's pastime now if it's not baseball?
Good question. Obviously, in reference to a sport.
Yeah, I mean, I guess drinking and student debt is really America's pastime. But what?
I would say maybe boxing.
Really?
No. Am I alone on that? Think about how long it's been around.
I mean, I guess. When was the last time you watched a boxing match?
That's been a minute. It's been a while, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's the NFL. I don't think it's. I mean, I guess the NFL is the best option, but I don't know. That's a good question. Definitely student debt and ignorance, but
yeah, there we go. Man, boxing really. I wish that you were on the Zoom. So those of you who don't know, and I think I've done a pretty good job of explaining our situation, is that we run the way that we record the show is Travis has an audio program that we all link into, and then we go on Zoom and then mute ourselves just so we can kind of see each other. But because of some internet connectivity issues, KMM is not on the Zoom today. It's just Travis and I. And Kyle, when you said that boxing was America's pastime, I wish you could have seen the collective faces made between Travis and I. Travis was just like shaking his head. I was just genuinely bamboozled. And we're both kind of looking at each other like, is this guy for real?
I mean, I don't know. I tried to go out on a limb and do something obscure. Clearly, it didn't land. Clearly, it was the wrong audience. I bet I could get Vic Tafer to make a better argument than I did. I didn't even make much of an argument, but
dude, you should do me a favor. Tweet at Tafer tonight. Our pal Vic Tafer from The Athletic. He was a big fight guy, both mixed martial arts and boxing. And ask him to give you the pitch on why boxing is America's pastime, because you, sir, did not give a good one.
All right, let me come back to you next week with a better answer after I consult my sources.
Yeah, we'll revisit this. But hey, before we get into cracking cold ones and all that jazz, could we give a little love, KMM, to an Oregon legend / Raiders legend, our close personal friend Marcus Mariota? He popped the question the other day.
That's very exciting, man. I actually, my buddy Rex used to live right next door to Marcus. He lived in I can't remember the name of the apartment buildings, but they were the ones that were super far away from campus.
Oh, would that be Ducks Village?
You could be right about that. Like, if there was ever a party there, no one ever wanted to walk because it was
you have to take the bus, right?
Yeah, it was all the way downtown. He lived right next to him, and he would always tell me like, "Oh yeah, I always see Marcus's girlfriend coming in and out, but I never see Marcus leaving his apartment. I wonder if his girlfriend just goes and gets everything for him, knowing that he can't go outside without getting heckled." So,
because I think it's important to kind of preface this, KMM, with at the time of this conversation, Mariota is arguably the most popular college athlete in the country, and Eugene is a very, very small town. So having a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback just cruising out and about at Safeway would probably not work.
Exactly. So it was rare to see him, and he never got to see him. They lived right next door to each other, and I mean, he must have seen him once to know that they lived right next to each other. But kudos to Marcus, man. That's a long time. I mean, you and the boss have been together for just as long, have you not?
Yeah, we were. I was actually talking with our boss Raider Vito about that the other day, where the Mariota timeline and the Paskal timeline were very similar. We were together about the same time with our respective, I guess, fiancés would be the correct term. But yeah, man, it's God bless him. Nothing but love and happiness. And I do have a question though. And did you see the post, Kyle, that Mariota's I don't know if it's his guy, but the local newsman who broke the news? Did you happen to see the post?
I think I did, but I only looked at it briefly, so it's kind of hazy in my mind. I know he's wearing a collared shirt, blue, right? Like a navy color.
I'll be honest. I don't remember the color. You're firing on all cylinders today, big fella. I do not remember the color of the shirt that Mariota was wearing. But the thing that piqued my interest is that it looks like the photo was taken in front of the Knight Library in Eugene. So I wonder, did Mariota propose at the library?
Oh,
like that'd be. I feel like that's a very Mariota on brand move. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to do it in maybe the place that he met her, or who knows. That's crazy to me that they just got engaged, because I imagine that he would have proposed at some point during his time in Nashville, because he was there like 4 years, was he not?
Listen, brother, take it from a man who lived it. You can't force it, baby. You can't do it until you're ready. It doesn't matter if you're a regular Joe like us, if you're a Heisman Trophy winner like Marcus. You gotta wait until you're ready.
Seems like a long time, but I agree with you. Don't force it. You don't want to rush into anything. But if you're in his position, if you're an NFL, I don't know. I've never lived in the shoes of an NFL athlete, so I can't imagine. I can't talk. You have a better idea than I do, as someone who's been in a relationship for damn near a decade.
I mean, you just got to be careful, man. If your significant other starts hearing these things about how, you can't be together for so long without getting married. Like, listen, dog, you've been in the game for a minute too. Like, you're gonna backdoor your way into an accidental engagement.
Yeah, all right, I'll keep my voice down.
Yeah, man, you're with her right now too. You're living bold today, baby. I don't know what you had for breakfast, but you're feeling randy. You're feeling excitable.
Oh man, there's just got a lot of thoughts going through my head this afternoon. I apologize, but hopefully it's keeping the listeners entertained.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly not boring us. You're all over the place, baby.
Oh man, I wish I had a boring game of the week for you this week, buddy.
Oh, I know. Are we close though? I mean, I feel like can you do me a favor? Maybe next week, can you give us a definitive date for when boring game of the week will return?
I can do it right now. I mean, the MLS starts July 8th, does it not?
Yeah, you leave my beloved Sounders out of this. You leave MLS out of this if you're just going to say I'm going to pick one MLS game every week.
Well, until the other games start up, I mean, that seems like the best bet. Let's be real. No Premier League matches are really that boring.
I bet you could find one.
I could. I mean, do I really want to watch a West Ham Aston Villa match? Not really.
See, you can find one.
Okay. All right. I got to just do more homework. I'll give you an official timeline next week of the criteria for the boring game of the week schedule and awards that will be handed out going forward.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't ask much from you on the show, do I, Kyle? I really don't. I ask you to show up and maybe have a few bits.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my part, brother.
I know. I love you. Tabone, do we have time to crack a few cold Coors Lights before we get out of here?
There's always time for that.
There is. Especially, let's be honest, where are we going? None of the three of us are leaving our house actually, you got to leave on Friday, but between now and Friday, no one's leaving. So who wants to go first?
I volunteer Travis.
Okay. T-Bone, you're up, brother.
Since Kyle always volunteers everyone. I'll crack a cold one for all the construction workers who, have gotten both the facility and the stadium almost to completion.
Yeah, shout out almost completion.
Edward?
Ooh, that's a good one. I actually have one that I found yesterday. I was reading the news, and I came across this story of this gentleman. His name's Zachary Stewart. He's a Las Vegas legend, and he's a guy who owns a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a cleaning company. Like they do like house cleaning and clean offices, things like that. And during the midst of the Rona, which obviously we're still in right now, but a couple months ago, during the peak of toilet paper shortages, he bought a ton of toilet paper, not like in a hoarding type way, but I guess I didn't know this, Travis, that if you own a business, you get access to buying certain things wholesale. I had no idea about that, but he was buying wholesale toilet paper, and he was just going around to local grocery stores and handing it out to people who couldn't buy any in the actual store. And then he kind of evolved that, and he like got a little like Facebook group together, and he just kind of said like, you know, no questions asked, but if you need a roll of toilet paper, just leave your address or a place I can drop it off, and I'll go do that. And so in addition to working like his 9 to 5 as a cleaning company owner, he drove all around Vegas, and he said he focused primarily on elderly people who obviously had a hard time getting out to the grocery store. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna crack a cold one to my new personal friend, Zachary Stewart.
Shout out Zachary Stewart. What a guy.
Zach Stew, big fan.
Well, this is gonna be the lazy way out, but I'm gonna crack a cold one for you guys for providing me with something to look forward to in the middle of the week every week. You know, during these bleak and depressing times, it's this podcast that gets me through the week.
That's beautiful, Booby. That's sad, but also very beautiful. You, I have to say, man, you were on one today. I don't know if I liked your energy, but I appreciated it because you certainly kept Trav and I on our toes.
You know, that's really all I need to do. You know, we can lose our sharpness, just the monotony of the routines that we're going through. But, I just want to keep everyone on their toes, make you question whether or not boxing is the pastime of America.
I can tell you that it certainly is not, but I do appreciate the fact that you gave it the old college try. And I guess you can really say that for this episode of the pod in general. We gave it the college try. I don't know if this one's good or not. I think it's probably all right. Call it middle of the road. I'll say this. We've done better, and we've done a heck of a lot worse. So for Eddie Paskal and producer Trav, our guest this week, our close personal friend, Greg Olson, the great KMM, engineer Jim, and everyone else who helps to get our little program from A to Z, we thank you deeply, humbly, and oh so sincerely. And we will catch you guys next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Upon Further Review.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Upon Further Review, presented by Coors Light on the official Raiders Podcast Network.